Good afternoon. It is Monday, December 5th, 2022. How's everyone out there doing today? What can I say about today? Yesterday, rather. You know, yesterday was another Jets game which just stinks. Knowing that it's another win that you saw and it just got away. And this time, with the two Patriot games that the Jets lost, losing on the game-winning walk-off punt return a couple weeks back in New England, and then yesterday. Now, first and foremost, I give the Jets credit because Jet teams in years past would not even, the game would be over if they were down 20-3 and 20-6 at halftime. I will give them that. However, the fact is, when they did come back, but they fell short, and in the manner that they did, just stings. They were the way that they were. How many times against this very suspect Minnesota Viking defense? And the Vikings were a team that's 10-2. I mean, I wasn't exactly that impressed with the Vikings. I really was not. The Jets defense did a good job for the most part shutting their weapons down. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen's name wasn't called until the fourth quarter. Dalvin Cook, very menial game. And Kirk Cousins, is he really that much of a threat? Anyway, that being said, if the Jet defense didn't penalize themselves into all the mistakes that they made in the second quarter, I think they'd win this game running away. And doing the research on the Minnesota Vikings, I said, that team may be what they are, but I just feel like they're takeable. And they were takeable yesterday. How many times did the Jets march down inside the 10-yard line and they didn't get it done? And yesterday was another classic example of it. They only get they only get in the end zone once in the game. And that had to be challenged, mind you. At this point, the Jets were down 27-15 with about 6 to 7 minutes left in the game. And you're like, the defense is, lit up. They're fired up. They're, Mike White's moving the ball great. And Garrett Wilson, who had a monster game yesterday, and it's just too bad it got wasted in the form of a loss. What did he have yesterday? He had 8 catches for 162 yards, whatever the heck it was. And, Bam Knight, Ella's second game on the 53-man roster, he had a big game, but Minnesota's defense just knew how to suffocate him. And twice they had a chance. 4 chances to take the lead, culminating with Braxton Berrios' inability to haul that easy ball in from literally 5 feet away. Mike White had him, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like he's got it. And then you see 3 Viking defenders around him waving incomplete, and then on the replay confirmed he didn't catch the ball. And then still the Jet defense does their job, burning all 3 timeouts, and then given, deep in their own territory, the Jets have it in plus territory, with a chance to win it. You just have to get a little less than half the field down, try and win the game. And they got to the 19-yard line, and, I feel like I saw in that final play there, which was an interception to seal the game, it felt like on the final play, he tries to force feed it to Corey Davis, who had an okay game. 5 for 75, I think he had. I felt like I saw Garrett Wilson in the back wide open, I felt like. That's at least what I felt like. But you knew they were going to probably go after him all game, given that, he had the game that he had. But the game was so winnable. And it's like you're scratching yourself saying, what is this guy doing? Anytime the Jets threatened the rest, there was the one drive there where he threw basically a screen to Braxton Berrios. Berrios turned around and it forced George Fant, who was back in his first game in how many weeks, I got called for an illegal block in the back, and I was like, that couldn't be held. Braxton spun around trying to take, I think it was Patrick Peterson out of the play. I forgot who it was involved, but yeah, clearly blocking the back. That was sort of forced. But outside of that, anytime the Jets threatened, Minnesota knew how to stand him outside of the goal line. Like, what are you doing? And wow. And then again, having to challenge, Mike White's quarterback sneak in the end zone. Why weren't there more quarterback sneaks there when they were trying to take the lead? When they're down 27-22, why are they not trying to sneak it in? Why were they trying to throw a fade pattern on third down? That's what I want to know. Like, on the 1 yard line, why are you throwing it in the first place? Why are you doing that? Why didn't you try that quarterback sneak again? Why? So it just made you wonder. This is another game. The Jets are playing relevant December football for the first time in 7 years. And every loss is going to come this panic. Luckily, right now, after, as week 13 is coming to an end, the Jets are still in the last playoff zone. Thank you, Las Vegas. And who's the other one? Who's the other one, I think? Kansas City, didn't do their job. Cincinnati. But Cincinnati owns the tiebreak on the Jets. Again, had the Jets won the game, they would have leapt at least one spot. They would have jumped at least one spot ahead. They would have jumped ahead of Miami, who lost in San Francisco yesterday. That would have helped. And if Cincinnati, had they lost yesterday to Kansas City, and it seems to be the Chiefs' kryptonite, it seems. Had that happened in the three-way tiebreak, remember, conference, and at least, the Jets lost outside of the conference yesterday, so at least in that way, in terms of tiebreakers, at least that is not going to really count against them too much. But the fact is, the teams around them that beat them, Patriots, Cincinnati, Baltimore, all involved in the race right now. That was the chance to get 2 games ahead of the Patriots with 5 to go. So it would have been basically 40% of the way there. And now New England has it easy because they have Arizona and then they have Vegas the following week, both on the road. So now with those coming, those might be 2 easy wins for the Patriots. And if you look at the Jets, they have to go to Buffalo, which, Buffalo, they didn't forget about November 6th. That's for sure. And then they come home for the Lions, who are resurgent. And then they have Jacksonville after that, who the Lions just totally destroyed yesterday. So, you have to wonder. If we lose in Buffalo, which, of course, it's Josh Allen, the panic button's going to be pushed. And it's like, how do you, what do you do now? You're 2-2 in the division. Both your losses came against a Patriots team that you should have beaten twice. And it's like, what do you do? And then, should the Jets miss the playoffs, and they have a team built to win, they're going to be lamenting losses like those 2 to the Patriots, and then the one yesterday where they were inches away from winning the game. And that would have been a statement win against one of the NFL's best teams on the road. That would have been a statement victory. And it didn't happen. And it's an excruciating feeling. And trust me, after the game ended and I was mad and everything else, I went to sleep for a while. I just had to go to sleep and just pretend football didn't exist. And I had to explain to my 5-year-old son why Daddy went to sleep, because Daddy's very upset that his football team lost. He gets it. He understands how much Daddy loves his Jets. And when they don't win, Daddy's not happy. So, but yeah, it's just so deflating. You're like so nervous. You're like, oh my God, they're gonna do this. Even my father-in-law's watching with me saying, oh, they got this, they got win. Who are you married to? No, but he's like, oh, they got this, they're gonna win. They have this. And it was like, yeah, this was not the Steelers game. If we had Breece Hall, Breece would have trucked those Viking defenders down, So we may have smaller, we also didn't have Michael Carter yesterday either, which didn't help matters. It didn't help not having Michael Carter in there, and his elusive speed. That would have had that extra body, I think. Knowing how Carter is, not having him did sort of suck. But Bam Knight has filled in admirably for him, though, I have to admit. Zordon Bam Knight, he's done very well. I like what he brings. And he also had a big 50-yard run in the fourth quarter as well yesterday. Set him up, but once again. And then Garrett Wilson had the big one where he thought he was in the end zone and he got whistled out at the 11-yard line. Those plays. And what did the Jets come away with? A field goal. The Jets came in as, I believe, the 29th ranked offense or something like that. They sure played like it. The more they just could not get in the end zone. They were getting the yards. Mike White had 369 yards yesterday, 57 throws. But because, the Jets controlled the second half. As you can tell, they were down 20-6 at the half and then came back and outscored the Vikings, 16-7? Yeah, it was 16-7 in the second half. Outscored them. But unfortunately, it was just a tease, as usual. So, that being said, the panic, the Jets piss away another one that they should win. And, and it stinks. It really, really stings that, it was a game they let slip away. They could be 8-4, technically more than that. And it could have been a really big showdown. And not only that, but their game with the Bills next week, wasn't it, was the game to be flexed to Sunday night next week. Unfortunately, CBS decided to protect it and keep it in the 1 o'clock slot, So if you want intrigue, it ain't happening. Now, CBS had the doubleheader this week, next week. Maybe it's a different story. But, now the Bills are number 1 in the conference again, with Kansas City losing to Cincinnati yesterday. The Bills are number 1 in the conference again. However, if the Jets can somehow pull off the upset again, now they used to be such a dominant road team. They've lost their last 2 road games. If they can pull off the upset, they'd still be a game out with the tiebreak on Buffalo. But, Buffalo's got the Jets and they've got Miami. The 2 teams really threatening them now. So, their next 2 games. So, we need to set the tone. We know at least we've shown this year, we know we can beat Buffalo. And mind you, it was Zach Wilson who led that game. But, Mike White does have some atonement to work on. It was against Buffalo last year where Mike White, we saw the last of him. So, anyway. That being said, I'm going to sign off here for right now. 13 minutes. About to hit up work anyway. So I'm going to conclude here. Peace out for now. Hit you next week. Again, if the Jets lose in Buffalo, we're in big trouble. Very big trouble. And also now you also have to remember, thank goodness the Vegas Raiders beat the Chargers, because now the Chargers, they're also in the thick of the race at 6-6 and a game out. And their schedule is pretty easy too. Their schedule is actually pretty darn easy. So you can't count them out. No, they're going to be pushing. No, we have to win the games we need. And, especially within the conference, because remember, interconference, that's the first time. Interdivision within the conference, that's the first tiebreaker among teams that did not compete against each other. So, Chargers did lose in the conference, But, again, I'd have to look at the standings to see where that stands. Anyway, that being said, deuces for now.